It's another day. It's another day of beautiful sideways. Just draw a line in the chart, and that's exactly where Bitcoin's going to be. Actually, a couple things did happen in the overnight session that I do want to go over in today's video. And other than that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. I want to make this one nice and short and sweet. So let's just jump right into it, starting off right over here with the 12-hour time frame. So what happened in the last 24 hours? We did see that hidden bearish evidence now has been confirmed. The 12-hour RSI is now operating not just below the midline, but also below the moving average on this one as well. And in this case, that would have a greater probability in the more near term, let's say, for Bitcoin to pop back down somewhere around these range lows. Doesn't necessarily need to be exactly on the range lows, but somewhere around there, especially with the 12-hour silver cross to the downside still active here. Again, as long as Bitcoin is especially below 29,600 on CME, and probably just that number by about $100 for a spot price action. That's still trading at a little bit of a premium right there. Ultimately, though, if we go over here to the daily and we put back on the Gaussian channel, we can see that the mean band is coming in around the upper $28,000 territory. Now it is currently at about 28,819 to be exact, and I'd essentially be looking for Bitcoin to, maybe put in a wick somewhere down around there, perhaps. But realistically, as we'll go over a little bit later, I still wouldn't be looking for any significantly nasty, humongously disgusting downside, especially as long as Bitcoin is above this week's wick low in this case, which is essentially one and the same as the Gaussian channel mean band. So on a closing basis, below there, we can start to talk about targets down to probably just below $27,000. But for right now, Bitcoin still kind of coalescing and consolidating within this region. So also do want to remind myself that on the weekly time frame, the weekly Gaussian channel did turn green for the first time in many years. Actually, in fact, maybe not many years, but just a couple years. Or I guess the last time that it freshly turned green was back when over here in 2019. But realistically, long term, that first tick on the green has typically initiated a constructive consolidation around the top side of the Gaussian channel. So we can see a couple of these instances over here in 2012 and again in 2016. Obviously, the one that did happen in 2019 did provide the impetus for a nice initial bounce, a pretty significant bounce, I would say as well. This was about 34% move, but that one ultimately did fail. Bit of a black swan, thrown somewhere in there as well, as you probably already know. But in this case right here, where's the top side coming in around, it's still kind of hovering around that low $28,000 territory. So anywhere around there, fair game essentially. But as long as Bitcoin is essentially trading sideways above the Gaussian channel, still more likely to actually go up, in the more long term, I suppose. But this can go on for, dare I say, longer. I was thinking at the beginning of this week we might actually see a move. We did see it. Well, I mean, to be fair, we did actually see a move, but it was not the it was not the explosion of volatility that I think a lot of people, including myself, are waiting for. Anyways, let's go over here to the HPDR range indicator, and we can see that, what do you know, the bottom side of the current 4-hour range is right around those same regions, about 28,700. So you can see a lot of a lot of things kind of in confluence around the basically mid to upper 28s, let's say. If Bitcoin does want to come down, maybe something like this would kind of make sense. Or I guess I already have my LARP lines in there. But of course, we can also see that the average of the range coming in around 29,600 or so. Maybe this is more visually apparent on the 12-hour time frame from what I remember yesterday. No, actually, average is coming in around 29,900. Maybe it's a 6-hour time frame. Just find a time frame that says what you want. That's the whole clue here. No, on the 6-hour time frame, 29,650 or so. So realistically, as long as Bitcoin is below the average of the range, it is in a bit more of a weaker stance, likely to trade somewhere back down, maybe around the bottom side of the of these range lows, which could be just 29 or 28.8, somewhere around there. Fair game. I would invalidate that even if you saw a move back above yesterday's wick high, that would be 29,725 here on Bybit. If we do see any sort of a closure even above 29,650, that'd probably also do it for me as well, especially on a 4-hour time frame in this case. And at that point, have to be looking back above $30,000 actually, probably closer to 30,003 to 30,005 ish region. But for right now, I suspect we got a little bit more sideways, and we can go over here and check out stochastic momentum and see where the current pivots are. And start off with the very high term timeframes again, because CME is going to be closing the week today. We can see that the weekly stochastic oscillator is going to be continuing with downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below 30,750. currently looking, quite likely, I guess. 5-day time frame also be showing downside momentum below 31,250. 2-day time frame is going to be also showing downside momentum as long as Bitcoin is below 30,650. I do want to point out here, however, that there is a nice trendline regression. I guess I already kind of have it in there, but let me draw it a little bit more relevant. Coming in relatively soon, maybe not necessarily on this next period, but on the one after that. And this goes all the way back to the lows of May, actually, of 2022, by the way. So again, if Bitcoin, if we do see that kind of base right around there again, and we do see that the momentum pivot does come down, closer to current price action, that'd be another good sign that Bitcoin is likely to put in another, another nice move to the upside, actually. Anyways, going into the daily, let's see what we got. Daily is actually continuing with upside momentum as long as Bitcoin's above 29,120-ish, basically. So a bit of bifurcation here. 12-hour time frame will turn down below 29.9. So again, much up there with the higher term time frame. 6-hour time frame also down below 29.9. 4-hour time frame is going to be also down below 29.7, and hourly is probably gonna be up if I had to guess, and it is up above 29,450. What does that likely align with? Very, very short term, Bitcoin probably tries for a bit of a bounce. Does the bounce reclaim yesterday's high or not? If it fails to, at that point, probably looking for, maybe not later today, but early into next week, Bitcoin comes down a little bit lower to the bottom side of the range. If Bitcoin does trade above this week's high, however, or sorry, not this week's high, but Thursday's high. Sorry, I completely got that wrong. Obviously, this week's high is much higher, but Thursday's high. If we do see a move back above there, at that point, I'd say, hey, no, short-term downside going to be negated. Very likely we do see this one try back up towards the highs of this week and probably beyond after that as well. But for right now, very, very short term, a little bit of an attempt for a bounce. However, higher term time frame still at best sideways, and I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. So again, maybe something like this. Let's see what the old LARP lines say right here. Do I even have them on? I don't have them on. Hey, what's going on here? I should... Well, whatever. You already know it. There we go. Something like that, perhaps. Maybe a little bit higher. I'm not necessarily married to the exact numbers on this one, but closer down to 29. But as we said before, granted the HPGR indicator, we can see that the current range is actually being walked up now for the first time in quite some time, actually, basically since the rally began. Way back on over here in June. So ultimately, I do look at that as a long-term good sign, but this one can go sideways for a little bit more before we actually do see anything, dare I say, interesting. So I'll be leaving it off right there. As always, want to wish you the best of best. I did forget to do the old free shill. You can get the Jewel Light for free for the first 30 days if you follow the directions in the link in the description below. And other than that, as always, wish you the best of best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.